Okay, so you had asked me about this problem, and this was the attachment I got, so I'm hoping that this is the correct one. So there's three parts of this problem, and you had mentioned that you had gotten A. But I'm going to look at A real quick with you just to show you what it's talking about. So if we look at this, right, if we look at A, it says the cosine value of negative theta when theta is pi over 3. So if I go to, here's pi over 3, right? That's theta, but it's negative pi over 3, right? And so we know that if it's negative pi over 3, then that's actually 5 pi over 3 when we're going in the positive direction. So the negative angle and so on and so forth. So where's 5 pi over 3? It's right here. So it's saying, this is what the problem is saying. The problem is saying, what is the cosine of negative theta, which is negative pi over 3, which is really 5 pi over 3. Now, how do we figure out what the cosine is? Well, it's either the x or the y value, right? So when you learned and you were talking, watching the videos or maybe in a past course, you know that the cosine is the x value and the sine is the y value, right? So to get to this point in the coordinate system, I have to go over 1/2 and down negative square root of 3 over 2. So the reason why the answer is 1/2 is because I have to go over 1/2 to get to where I need to be. Okay. What does this mean? That was your question. And what does this mean? Okay. Now, if you remember algebra or you've taken algebra recently, or maybe you don't, this is the cosine is actually a function. So cosine of something, there's an input that always yields an output, right? Okay, so that's what we were doing in the first problem. Okay, so I don't want to ramble here. The hint they gave you is that this is actually cosine of something, and whatever answer you get, you square it. Okay, that's what the little square means. So what the problem is asking is what is the cosine of pi over 3 squared? So what's the cosine of pi over 3? Well, if we go back up to our chart, right, up to here, we'll notice that the cosine of pi over 3 is 1/2. In fact, it's the same thing as the cosine of 5 pi over 3, right? Because I go over 1/2, and that's always positive. So that is equal to 1/2. Whatever I get, I square it. Okay? So whatever answer I get, I square it. And so the answer is 1/4. Okay? I'm going to move this out a little bit. Okay? All right. So let me know if you have any more questions about that. Okay. So what about this last one? The cosine of theta over 2. Again, the input value for this function is I'm going to take theta and I'm going to divide by 2, and then I'm going to take the cosine of it. So I do cosine of theta, which is pi over 3. First, I have to divide it by 2. Okay? Now, this is where you might have forgotten or not sure about, or a calculator's not helping you. When you divide fractions, that's supposed to be a 2 over 1, you multiply by the reciprocal. So pi over 3 times 1/2. So instead of pi over 3 divided by 2 over 1, it's pi over 3 times 1/2, which is pi over 6, right? Okay, so make sure I did that right. So this is actually the cosine of pi over 6. Like that's the actual question they're asking. Okay, so let's go to pi over 6. Again, it sounded like you had that kind of down, but I want to go over it. Cosine of pi over 6. So when I plug in pi over 6 into the cosine value, I should get the square root of 3 over